Hello YouTube viewers, welcome back to another video. Today we got the car to the yard here, and one issue it had was that the ignition switch was broke, the ignition cylinder. Anyway, we went to Autozone and picked up this part number. It's just, if you want to get a good look at that. It was $19.99. Now, I have a 1988 model Sport Coupe, and I think halfway during that year they went to the GM Passkey, which is the ignition key with the little chip in the shaft of the key. My car doesn't have that, so even though it was an 88 model, I had to get the 87 ignition switch. So, which is this right here. So anyway, we're going to put this in the car, and I'll walk you through the removing of the steering wheel, so we can at least get this key in, and the first of many things done on this car. Thank you guys. Alright, we are in the vehicle. First thing we want to do is make sure your battery's unplugged, right? But see, my car battery's dead, so no big deal. Next thing we want to do, if you have a steering wheel like this, you want to pop this cover off. So we're going to do that. You see, it just pulls right off, just like that. See, it's got these 3 tabs, right? 1, 2, 3. Set that off to the side. Next we're going to do is remove this jam nut right here. So let me grab an impact and do that. That size on that nut is 11/16. Just like that. Now we've got that washer out of here. What I like to do is I like to mark where center is on this steering wheel compared to when I take it back off. So when I put it back on, I can line this wheel up straight, right? Okay. I mean, I'm not too fond of this wheel, but I digress. It's the only one I have for right now. So, alright, so let me get the steering wheel puller installed, and we'll start cranking on it. Now we got our puller on. It's a harmonic balancer steering wheel puller, so it's, it does both. So we're going to crank on that, and we'll remove the steering. Behold the proper tool. This is a steering wheel lock plate remover tool. The idea is, you get it threaded on, and it mashes this plate down. You see this plate? In order to get that keeper ring right there out. Without this tool, it'll be impossible. Alright. So we're gonna clamp this down, tighten it down, pull that pin out with a pick, and we'll be ready to go to continue on to the next step. Alright, we got it on. You see here, you got the adapter right here that screws onto this shaft, right? And now you're going to turn this wing nut just like that. And as you can see, it'll start compressing this plate down. Now, I can get that ring out. See that gap? Now we can remove that ring. We'll use our screwdriver here. Let me get y'all closer here. Like I said, we'll use our screwdriver. Pull that ring up around, like so. There it is, see? Just like that. Yeah, anyway, y'all get the idea. See, now it's off. Now loosen the jam nut. Right, and unscrew it. Set that off right here off to the side. Oh, if y'all want to know what this is, you can get it at Autozone. OEM Tools part 5134. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. Now, real carefully, you know, because you still got this pin right here. We're gonna keep our keeper ring. Set it right there. Very easily, because plastic in a 33-year-old steering wheel is probably brittle. We're going to set that right there. Easily remove this. You can see this brass bushing rides right here to ground out the steering wheel for the horn. If you turn your turn signal on to the right hand side, you got access to all 3 screws. Before we pull that out, we need to pull our hazard light switch off, because we're going to pull that off to the side so we can access the key switch. Stand by. Now, taking this screw off right here, you take this screw out, right? And this will remove the turn signal stock, because you got to have that out. Alright, now that you got all 3 of those screws out, what you're going to want to do now is a Phillips screw inside your 4-way hazard turn signal lamp, switch. So you want to unscrew that screw, pull that out, and then you'll want to be very careful with your switch. You see, this is a 33-year-old switch. As you can see, it's broken, it's brittle. So you be very careful, because this is spring loaded, and as you can see, this is all broke. I'll have to replace or repair, but that's another time. For right now, I'll still use this switch because it seemed to have worked. But as you can see, it's pretty well cracked all the way down the shaft. So when you're doing this, y'all guys just be very careful. Now, what I'm going to do, it's not necessarily required, but I'm going to do it because I don't want to lose parts. See, this keeper trigger stock thing can come out, because you see it rides like that, and then of course if you're neutral it pulls it down, and if you gotta turn it to the left it'll pull it down, but it'll ride right there. And this little groove right here rides in that hole right there. There you go, see the little hole right there, that's where it goes into, so when you line it back up it won't be a problem. Okay, now still you gotta pull that screw out. I really do recommend using magnetic tools for this job, magnetic screwdrivers or a magnet, or just any kind of magnet, because these things are hard to pull out. All these screws are, and a magnet will just make your job a heck of a lot easier. Okay, now that we got our 3 screws, you know, our 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3 out, we have our hazard turn signal switch out, we have our stock loosened. We should be able to gently pull this up and out of the way just enough. It may be easier to pull the spring out. You want to pull it up, be careful though, because these things have got wires on it, but you only want to pull it up just enough and turn it just enough to get to that Phillips bolt right there. That Phillips bolt is going to be the pin for the tumbler, okay? Okay, this is where a magnet comes really in handy, because you do not want to drop that screw down in this column. So you're going to need a magnet. You can screw it pretty well ways, and you're going to want a magnet to pull that out. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, well, this screw just happens to be aluminum. My magnet didn't work, so I had to get a very narrow pair of needle nose to pull this out. Okay, don't lose this. This is the pin for your new ignition switch. You know, don't lose any of these parts, because they don't make them anymore. You'll have to go to a junkyard and try to find a new a whole new system. But anyway, here we are. That's our old one. As you can see, I don't have the GM Passkey. I knew I didn't. So be careful. Okay, here's our new switch. Now, when you buy it from a box, it's going to come in an on or run position. So because I took mine out in a locked position, I want to turn the key off into a locked position. Not down and back, because that'll be the accessory, but just in the off position, right? And we're going to stick it in the same way it came out. Just like that. My switch works now, fellas. Alright, now we just got to put that screw back in. Put all 3 screws in. Put our stock trigger back in. Screw it down. Put our spring in. So, just in the reverse order, right? Let's see how it goes. You'll keep tightening this jam nut. Now, it gets tight. I used my pair of adjustable pliers to keep turning it. Being very careful, very slow. But you want to keep on adjusting until this plate gets right past, just right past this groove right here, see? Because now you got to work this ring into that groove. Okay, now that the ring's back in the groove, you can back this off, being very careful, very slow. And then you back it off, unscrew this, put your tool off to the side, and admire your work. You can see my little pencil mark. That tells me top dead center of the shaft, right? And you see I put my pencil mark right there and right there. So we'll be able to line the steering wheel up just as it came off. Alright, like I said, you keep everything lined up, right? But be very careful. You want to make sure that your horn ground pin lines up with that hole in the steering wheel too. Again, if you're reusing this wheel, if not, you know, but I'm reusing this wheel for right now. So I'm going to put this on and tighten it down. And we'll put our horn pad back on. Alright, it's on. I do not have my key plugged. I do not have my battery plugged up, but what? The steering wheel lock on, crank off, push in, rear accessory off, new key. That's it. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Just a simple ignition switch replacement. This is where I can unlock the steering wheel and unlock the transmission once I get some power going, and be able to park, put in park, reverse, neutral, all that. And I'll be able to, I can turn the wheel now so I can maneuver the car. You know, because getting it towed over here, you know, I didn't have to turn the wheel, but it was interesting. So anyway, this has been the Texas Shade Tree Mechanic, wishing y'all a happy day and happy wrenching. Good luck to y'all.